Hey everybody, welcome to part 5 of Warhammer 40,000's The Maelstrom. My 5-part review of this whale of a release, which is setting basically Warhammer 40,000's 10th edition on a trajectory to some fun narrative games in The Maelstrom. It's like a little pocket, tiny little Eye of Terror, which is ruled by pirates. It's a port royale, if you will, of the Warhammer 40,000 universe. And if you missed the previous 4 videos, we went through just an overview of the whole thing. If you don't want to watch all of these reviews, you can go to just check out that one. It'll give you my general impressions of this whole release. And then the Red Corsairs, their new box set and character pack, as well as their detachments, the Eldritch Raiders, their box set and attachment rules. Finally, the Crucible of Champions and the 2 remaining detachments for Orcs and Legions of Votann. And then finally, we're going to focus now on Raid and Ruin. This is a campaign system. And when I say campaign system, this is just a reason to play games together and earn points. You are pirates in the Maelstrom. You are trying to earn your notoriety, become the most notorious pirate of them all. And it's a setup for playing incursion level games. So 2 things I love about this just from the get-go, from the premise. 1, very little bookkeeping and tracking. It's about playing fun narrative games. Provides a big mix of games and also sweeties that you can find that both upgrade the notoriety of your captain. So it's kind of compatible with the Crucible of Champions for making your own cool character to have play through here. Stuff they can carry around and, you know, cool hats from a pirate point of view. And swords. And then just a bunch of achievements you unlock to earn your notoriety points. And the person with the most notoriety points wins. That's it. And it's for playing, like I said, small 1,000-point games. So playing intimate, character-driven games of Warhammer 40,000. I hate games that last more than 90 minutes. I don't like playing games for hours and hours and hours where you know who's already won the game on turn 3, but you got to run it through to the clock and the conclusion at the end. I'm not a big fan of current competitive Warhammer 40K. This is the fun kind of game night stuff that I love having an excuse to play more than one game of. So yeah, what's in the book? Revised mission sequence for playing these for attackers and defenders, because a lot of these are asymmetrical. Additional mission rules for all the missions, 12 new missions, multiplayer rules for playing games more than once and with more than one person. You're playing the campaign. You're all going to earn notoriety points. Whenever you earn a notoriety thing, you can unlock additional titles. Those titles make you better at that thing. But the campaign does require some scheduling. That's the one kind of hiccup with this. Everybody has to play the same number of games. If anyone's played less than the total number of games like set by the campaign, then other pirates can play them so they can finish out their games, but then those pirates stop earning notoriety points. You get the same number of games as everybody else, and you get the best of those games that you've played. All right, challenges. So you can see here, as soon as you do one of these things, you get that notoriety point locked in. Every time you've gotten the achievement from then on, you get to level it up. So the first one's worth 1, 3, 4, 5, right? So the first time in the battle, your warlord secured plunder, you get a notoriety point from it. Then if they do it again, you get to check off Shrewd, then Evasive, then Shadow Thief. So your title goes higher, right? In this battle, your warlords destroyed 1 or more enemy units in the fight phase. I become Scourge if I do it twice. If I do it 3 times in 3 different games, I become an Executioner. And then I become the Gears Blade if I do it in 4 times. So you want your general to go off and kill units in melee. In this battle, I was destroyed, so you can even just get points for getting killed by yourself. You can become Vengeful, Unrivaled, and then Imperious. So if you kill the enemy warlord, right? So you want to chop off the head of the enemy army. You become like a rival with a rival's title. If you're the victor of a mission, and that was neither your first mission nor a mission you've already won this campaign, so if you play different missions and win them, you get a point, then you become an opportunist, a raid master, and then finally a despot. If at the end of the battle, each enemy unit is either below half strength or not on the battlefield, you become cruel, bloodthirsty, and then a reaper. Because you just killed so many guys. At the end of the battle, your warlord's within your opponent's deployment zone. You become brash, audacious, and unstoppable. And so when this is all said and done, the final one is at the end of the battle, you control more objective markers than your opponent, you become grasping, a profiteer, or gilded. So you could be like the Executioner Unrivaled, an opportunist who's bloodthirsty, audacious, grasping, and shrewd, right? So like your title kind of like, you get this like series of adjectives and they add up to your total number of points. The person with the most points after the same number of games wins. So let's say you want to play this over, I don't know, 6 weeks, month and a half. That makes sense. Every game, every week you play a game. They're 1,000-point games, right? So you can paint up an army and then add a unit every time. And then finally, when you play games, after each battle, after gaining any notoriety points for victory, And for completing challenges, each player identifies their spoils of war. You count the number of objective markers they control at the end of the game, the result of the number of times a player can roll in the spoils roll, unless the result is 0, in which case they make a single roll. So if I hold 3 at the end of the game, I make 3 rolls, but I always get 1. And you roll D66, and then you get all kinds of stuff like cursed, essential, cartomatic, martial, plundered, and exotic types of spoils. Once a player has made all their rolls, the player can choose one of those results. Until the end of the next battle, the player has the spoil of war item related to the chosen results. You only get 1 for the next game. Each spoil of war has an associated effect. These effects can range from changing how you follow the mission sequence, providing additional notoriety points, provide you with additional abilities, or even give your warlord access to potent relics of questionable origin, befitting their undoubtedly prestigious reputation. Designers note these rules are meant that even if one player controls all the objective markers in the game, everybody gets at least 1. The other person rolls 5 times and then chooses the one they want. So you're never going to get lots of these. You're only ever going to get more choice in which ones you get. The first ones, all the cursed ones, are things that usually give you notoriety points. So Thirsting Chalice, at the end of the battle, if your warlord's on the battlefield and you're not the victor, gain a notoriety point because you're going to have that. Abundant Munitions. Corrupting Pelorus. In the determined mission, attacker and defender step, you cannot choose Rapid Raid or Ambush. At the end of the battle, if you're the victor, gain additional notoriety point. Then you get things like Abundant Munitions. Start of the first battle round, select 1 unit from your army. They get to reroll hit rolls of 1 for a range attack. In the 3 level, things like Fuel Cells, start of the first battle round. Select 1 unit from your army. If you select a vehicle unit, until the end of the battle, add 2 to the move characteristic of a vehicle model in that unit. Otherwise, add 1 of the torrent weapon attack rolls for models in that unit. From there, we've got things like relics, like a Wisp Saber. And they declare battle formation step, select 1 character model from your army that is an epic hero. Until the end of the battle, that character model is equipped with this weapon in addition to any it already has. So Whip Saber is 5 attacks, weapon skill 2+, strength 6, -4, 2 damage. So these are all one and done spoils. So again, it's less granular than playing a full-on campaign campaign where you're doing the tracking of battle honors and stuff like that, because they're all just one and done. You're done and they're used, and you're just keeping chart of all the names you've earned, and that's it. So fun to have, fun to use, and between games you get a little sweetie. And we got our missions. Look at this old school metal-toothed Huron Blackheart. That's rad. All right, so the campaign sequence for this one. First, you muster your armies, but they do some restrictions because you're playing incursion games here, no going crazy. You can only include a unit in your army if that unit has the faction keyword you chose for your army faction. You have enough points. Your army does not already contain an epic hero. You only get 1. Your army does not already contain 1 unit with the same datasheet name as that unit. So if that vehicle is a character, monster, or vehicle. 4 units with the same datasheet if they're battle and dedicated transport. 2 units with the same datasheet name otherwise. So it's not quite a Highlander restriction, but you can't spam something. And you're only getting a single epic hero. So 1 epic hero, 1 of each type of character, no more than 1 of anything, if it's a character or vehicle or monster. And then the basic guys, you can have up to 4 of each. And then your mission matrix. Then you determine the missions, attackers, and defender. Decide which player will be player A and player B. This is only to determine whether they use the rows or columns. Then each player secretly picks if they're going to do a rapid raid, a planned strike, an ambush, or a hold prize. So you pick one of those 4 options, and then you reveal simultaneously to each other, and then you go across the matrix. So if I choose ambush and you choose a rapid raid, we're playing loot the dead. If I play a planned strike and you're playing ambush, we're playing extraction, and player A is the attacker. So this matrix basically says, what kind of pirate am I today? And then that generates the mission you're going to be playing. So you don't get to pick or have any agency. You create the battlefield on a 44 by 60, so standard game table size. Declare your battle formations and reserve rules, deploy armies, redeploy units, place objective markers, determine first turn, pre-battle rules, begin the battle, end the battle, turn vector, usual stuff. All right. Additional mission rules. So we do get some extra stuff in here to represent the fact that you're pirates. Grab the plunder, so you can carry objective markers, pick them up and put them down. Drop the plunder, put it down when you're done. Secure the plunder, which means you can walk away from it. And then lurking reavers. The following units have the lurking keyword: infantry, beasts, and swarms. All other units that the controlling player has not yet had a turn in this battle. So everyone's hiding because you're a pirate at the start of the game. Lurking units can't be shot by attacks from more than 18 away. If the unit remains stationary in its controlling player's movement phase, does not declare a charge in its controlling player's charge phase, and does not make any attacks, it gains the lurking keyword. If it moves for any reason or makes more and more attacks, it loses lurking. So you can effectively hide in this game, which is neat because what they're doing is they're making a rule that gets rid of alpha striking. So because you're playing 1,000-point games, right, I can still take like a knight and it could just gun down a whole army. This means that that knight potentially has to get really close to me to unlock the ability to shoot somebody, or just can't because it's outside 18. And then these strats are available to all Raid and Ruin missions. Warp Revenants, one battle line unit from your army that was just destroyed. You can target that unit even though it was destroyed. They come back in strategic reserves, but they don't get characters. So again, this is a small game size. They let you recycle a battle line unit, right? That has died basically to keep you in the game. Really clever for small game sizes. A bit like the reinforcements in whatchamacallit, in Spearhead in Warhammer Age of Sigmar. Larceny in the command phase, one unit from your army that excluding units carrying objective markers and vehicles other than walkers, and units that have a characteristic of objective control of 0. Select one enemy unit with an engagement range of your enemy unit that's carrying the objective marker. That enemy unit's no longer carrying it, and you're not carrying it instead. So if you charge somebody, you can steal their objective marker for 1 CP. I love this. It means that while you're fighting in melee with somebody, and it's your command phase, the objective marker can go back and forth being carried because you're trying to rob them. It's a great thing for a strat. Fortune favors the bold in your movement phase. One unit from your army that has not been selected to move in this phase. The effect is each model in your unit makes a desperate escape test. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in your army makes a move, it can move through enemy models. And when doing so, it can't end engagement range. So you can basically like push through stuff and then hasty retreat. When you make a fallback move, you can add D6 to the move characteristic of models in your unit. So I love this additional like mission rule stuff. One, it means you can pick stuff up and put it down, which means you can write missions where that's the case. Two, all these strats allow you to interact with that ability. And three, it acknowledges that 40K is way too overtuned to play small, kind of reasonably point-costed games because the lethality has been cranked to 11 to try and speed up 2,000-point games. So they give you this ability to like recycle guys, bring them back, and have them actually hide. Very clever, very well designed, and very needed in Core 40K. If this shows up in Core 40K, if just hiding shows up in Core 40K, I'll be so happy. And then this is the rules for multiplayer missions. Mayhem missions where basically there's more than one player, or more than 2 players on the table. And they get their own strats as well, where you can like attack people, parlay with them, become allies. And then we get our missions. And again, attackers are reds, defenders are green. And you'll see here they're all designed to basically be asymmetrical. So loot the dead to the victor. Risk and reward. Trapped, where you're like surrounded on all sides. Extraction, where you're trying to get off the table. High stakes, right, where the two HQs are fighting each other and have a little duel. Reavers at Bay, trying to hold people back. Dawn Raid, where you're rushing in. Heist, and then chance encounter with like the random arrival. The Mayhem missions get their own deployments, so multiplayer, right? So knife in the back. This one is Mayhem in the Maelstrom. And then we get our Legend of, whose tally of victories and who was also called. So you get all your names and stuff too. And that's it. Again, enough, think of this like seasoning on Warhammer 40,000 games. A way to kind of acknowledge the flaws in current 40K for playing 1,000-point games. Some emphasis removed on this fucking obsession with balance, and some emphasis placed on giving people a reason to come back and play multiple games, and to bring armies that can kind of cover every eventuality as opposed to being tuned to like specific symmetrical objectives. Really happy with Raid and Ruin. I always thought 1,000-point games of 40K were the most fun because it allowed you to paint small collections of miniatures that were really characterful and that you really liked, and then be rewarded for doing it. And between Crucible of Champions, giving back basically how to make your own characters in Warhammer 40,000, which has been gone for an edition now, and Raid and Ruin, which allows you to kind of dial back the size of the games into something kind of reasonable. And just that pirate theme of like getting names and having this cool like Port Royale kind of place to play in. this is probably so far the best of these two campaign supplements. It's more accessible to everybody. The small army sizes and like non-bespoke boarding action terrain means that anybody can play it. And then the theme of like, yeah, build your own characters, take them on adventures, earn names. It's fun for a group, and then putting in multiplayer games too. It's kind of putting the ham back in Warhammer, if that makes sense. So there it is, the final review for today for 40k the Maelstrom and the sort of piratical expansion. I'm excited to see what happens next. Of course, the Whispering Secret of Lionel Johnson being in the last one. We have another one of these where we have Commander Lord Gilliman has done it. It is as I feared for so long, and you, my friend, foresaw all those years ago. The warders are returning. There are many on the throne world who have abandoned me, but I still have my whispersmiths. Word has reached me of an order from the Lord Regent, one of forgiveness, so cloying that its words sicken me. The Lord Regent has granted the Emperor's absolution to the Mantis Warriors, Executioners, and the Lamenters. Yes, my friend, all three. Those still undertaking penitential crusades are ordered to return. Their chapter masters are ordered to regather their disparate forces and ready them. This absolution carries but one simple caveat. The first deployment is to delve into the Maelstrom and take back the tyrant Huron Blackheart. So basically, Inquisitor Scalen realizes that Gilliman has given absolution to all the traitor chapters that were on penitent crusades if they come back and get Blackheart dead. And then he begs to instigate the contingency you and others have prepared against the fateful day. I've already begun to gather my followers, both the loyal and the unknowing. If those chapters prove us wrong, we will be in a position to reinforce their noble efforts. Otherwise, we will have a weapon in place ready to strike them down, a weapon the Imperium lacked at Badab. If this entreaty reaches you, wherever you are in the outer dark of your hunt, know that I have ensured termination fail-safes to erase this message. From the Ordo Astartes. Ordo Astartes, a new inquisitorial ordo meant to hunt the Space Marines. Maybe they've got that special gene poison that was being made at the end of the Horus Heresy, the one that the Arch Poisoner had created basically as the final potential like sanction against the Space Marines. I got a feeling that's what's gonna lie in store for the Tyrant of Badab at the end of that war. So there it is, the final installment. Big thanks for watching. We'll see you for more GMG reviews. Till then, I'm Ash.